Hey guys, GoForce Online, and this is another one of my trash builds. Now this is my Werewolf damage dealer. So it does deal some damage outside of being transformation, but the main focus of this build is to have Werewolf available at most times. Now most of the setups are around reducing ultimate costs, so the damage output initially from this build is not much, but once Werewolf transformation happens, it kicks ass nicely. Anyway, let's take a look. So sitting at about 35k max stamina there and 20k health. So not a bad health pool there, and there's a reason that the health is a little bit higher than it normally needs to be. But 35k magicka, 35k stamina is really nice. Resistance is sitting at about 17 and 15k, which is not bad, but basically just being a damage dealer, resistances doesn't need to be very high. Weapon damage sitting at 3,800 at the moment. Buffed goes up to about 4,4. Once you get into Werewolf Transformation, it does get a lot more than that as well. Weapon critical sitting at about 26%. And using the Warrior Munderstone and using the Pack Leader Food, which gives me max stamina and max health, and also reduces the cost of Werewolf Transformation, so it costs less ultimate. Alright, let's take a look at the weapon setup. So first one I have here is Belagos. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong. Anyway, so one item adds weapon damage there for me, and when I cast an ultimate ability, I gain weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of total ultimate consumed. So Werewolf Transformation here happens at 150 and up. So that means I gain that 150 weapon and spell damage, possibly more, and then 23 times that as physical penetration. So for the initial 10 seconds or 12 seconds here that this buff is activated, is very, very strong. Moving on to the next one is Salvation. So just a reduction there, reduces the cost of Werewolf Transformation by 33%, and while in Werewolf form, I gain 150 weapon damage. So a bit of a buff with weapon damage, but mainly here just to reduce the werewolf cost. And then the next one here is Potentates. So using 3 items, it's not activated now, it's just because I'm on the wrong bar. But just a reduction there as well, so reduces my ultimate cost by 15%. Now I've got one piece of jewelry here, and the other one is sitting on my back bar. So as soon as I swap to my back bar, I get that 15% ultimate reduction. And then sitting on the front bar, I'm using the Asylum Greatsword. So when I deal damage with reverse slash, can generate up to 12 ultimate based on how much execute bonus damage was dealt. So just a bit of extra ultimate regen there. So just building up that ultimate in order to get that werewolf transformation. Alright, that's it. So this is just a dud one because I'm using 11 set item pieces instead of 12. This can be any set really, it doesn't matter. I just had an extra space available, so I just put in a random ring. But the big one here is Thrassian. So this is one of the mythic items, and this is the reason that I have a bit of a higher health pool. So this reduces my health as I get more powerful. So let's take a look. So killing an enemy grants you a stack of Slowed's Call for 1 hour, up to a maximum of 50. Each stack increases your weapon and spell damage by 23, and reduces your max health by 120. And reduces the effectiveness of your damage shields by 1%. So at full 50, it increases your weapon and spell damage by about 1,150, so very nice. But your max health is reduced by 6,000, so that's pretty much all your attribute points in health is equivalent to about 6,000, so all of that is gone. And your damage shields are reduced by another 50%. Now, so bit of give and take on this one. When I did have a full stack of Thrassian plates on, my weapon damage was sitting at about 7k, roughly, most of the time. Take a look at the picture here. So very strong, having 7k weapon damage running through, kills most enemies very quickly, but you definitely feel those debuffs on your health and damage shields as well. Alright, now moving on to these skills. So I am a Templar, so first skill I have here is Biting Jabs from the class skill line. So you jab 5 times and the spear deals 4,000 physical damage and 1,500 physical damage to other enemies around you. Each strike reduces their movement speed by 40% for 1 second, and activating this ability grants major savagery, which increases your weapon critical. So my weapon critical will come up to about 32%, so not very high critical there, but definitely do for this build. Moving on to the next one is Stampede from the weapon skill line. So this is my gap closer, so you can activate it at range and then come in closer. So it deals 6,600 physical damage to nearby enemies, and it's always a critical strike. So that's why critical is not as big, because some of these abilities are critical strikes automatically. And after reaching the target, you deal physical damage in the area around him as well for 10 seconds. Next one I have here is Brawler. So focusing your strength and mighty swing, dealing 8,000 physical damage to enemies in front of you. It also grants you a damage shield for 5,400 for 6 seconds, and each enemy hit increases the strength by 50% up to 300. So if you're striking 3 enemies in front of you, that's a 15k damage shield right there. Alright, moving on to the next one is Reverse Slice. So spin around to deal 5,400 physical damage and up to 300% more damage to the enemies less than 50%. So very nice close area attack. It attacks several enemies at the same time as long as you're within close range. And the last one here is Binding Javelin, also a class skill. So hurl a spear at an enemy, dealing 6,400 physical damage and stunning them for 4 seconds. So usually if an enemy is at range, this will be my opening move, so activating the Javelin, and then my gap closer there to come for close combat. The last one I have here is Flawless Dawnbreaker. This can be any ultimate really. The only reason I have it here is the Fighter's Guild skill line, which increases my weapon damage a little bit if I have a Fighter's Guild skill equipped. So I don't activate it, it's just there as a bit of a boost. And now for the back bar, first one is Repentance from the class skills as well. So if an enemy is dead, you can activate this, healing yourself for 3,300 and restoring 3,000 stamina. So you get these light indications of where enemies have died, so you can activate this and absorb that. And also while slotted, you gain some buffs there as well, which increases your recovery. The next one here is Power of Light. So it deals 5,200 physical damage and copying all damage taken for 6 seconds on the target. So releasing 20% of that back to them as damage, and the max copied damage is 20k. So very nicely there. And also target is affected with Minor Fracture and Minor Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 1,300. The next one here is Razor Caltrops from the Assault skill line. So hurl a ball of Caltrops, dealing 750 physical damage and reducing their movement speed. But the main reason I use this here is it applies Major Fracture to the enemies, which reduces their physical resistance by 5,200. Then next one here is Rally. So focus your strength and resolve and gain major brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20%. And afterwards, you heal for 4,300 health when rally ends. The final heal is increased by 15% every 1 second, up to a maximum of 300%. So a nice bit of extra heal there that passively activates when rally ends. And the last one here is Vigor, so just a bit of healing there. So it heals you for 18k over 4 seconds. So just extra bit of healing, especially if you've got massive debuffs on you from the Thrassian, that extra healing will help to keep you alive. And then the last one is the Werewolf Transformation. So the Werewolf is really up to you how you want to set it up. I'll quickly show you guys the skills that I use, but really how you want to use the Werewolf build is up to you. So the first one I have here is Howl of Agony, which deals 13k physical damage, which is really nice. And enemies who are feared or facing you take an additional 25% damage. So I do have a fear here as well. So activating this will stun the enemies and then increase this one's damage by 25%. Next one I have here is Claws of Life. So shred the enemy in front of you, dealing 10k disease damage and additional 8.6k disease damage over 10 seconds. You are healed for 110% of the damage over time caused. So that is at least 9k healing there that happens as soon as you activate this skill over that 10 seconds. And enemies hit by the initial hit is affected with the disease status effect. Next one is Feral Pounce. So this is a gap closer, so activating this skill at range, closing the gap, and it deals 7,800 physical damage, and you can activate the skill again for a second skill, and it deals 5,000 physical damage over 10 seconds and deals up to 450% more damage to enemies under 100% health. So there's a fair few skills in this build that relies on enemies being below 100% health and then gaining increase in damage for doing that. And then the roar I was talking about earlier, so it terrifies 6 targets around you for 4 seconds and setting them off balance for 7 seconds. So if an enemy is off balance, that increases my damage output to them by 10% because of the champion skills. And then the last one here is Hercine's Rage, really powerful skill here. So you heal for 8,000 health if you activate the skill, but if you're at max health, you activate it, you restore 3,000 stamina and gain Major Berserk, increasing your damage down by 25% for 6 seconds. So very powerful there. Definitely think it's going to receive a nerf at some point, probably be a minor Berserk, but having that, you can have a 100% uptime if you have the Magicka to cast it. So 25% damage boost is really nice. And also, while slotted, you gain Major Brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20%. So another thing to note is if you use this skill, or if you put this skill in your other skill bar, so you can't use it, but this passive effect is active as well. So instead of having to use Rally on the back bar, you can just equip this one on the front bar and have that Major Brutality on at the full time. But you lose a slot by doing that. And then the Werewolf Transformation that I did choose was the Berserker. So while transformed, my light attacks apply to bleed for 14k physical damage over 4 seconds, and the heavy attacks deals 50% splash damage, and my max stamina is increased by 30%, so that one's pretty normal for the werewolves, and also while slotted, my stamina recovery is increased by 15%. So very nice builds here. So Werewolf has definitely got a lot better since the Greymore patch has come through. But let's take a look at what he can do. So you can see my ultimate there is at 141 and it's already active, ready to go. So usually Werewolf ultimate will cost you 3k. But looking at the front bar, start off with your Javelin, activate your Gut Closer. Sorry, I'm struggling with lag here a lot. You do your Cleave to get your damage shield up. Another AoE there, and activate the spears to get that savagery up. So then on the back bar, you've got the fracture, the minor fracture there. You've got the Caltrops with the major fracture, momentum, which increases your weapon damage there, and vigor if you need to heal up. Oh, sorry, I'm just short on my werewolf. There we go. So 156. So take a look at 5,400 weapon damage there and 36k weapon critical. Very, very nice. So activate your gap closer, activating your poison there, fearing the targets around the area, and then just activating Hell. So 14k damage without anything on it. So activate that Hersey, so get that brutality. And that's going up to 16k there. Alright, that's it from me guys. Thanks for listening. If you like the content I'm putting out, please hit that like and subscribe. If you have any ideas for builds that I need to use in the future, please let me know in the comments down below. Take care and be safe. Bye.